We are kicking off with AEW Dynamite, and in his first live appearance at an event since World's End, new AEW World Champion Samoa Joe was in town and found out his first challenger for the title. Joe vanquished former champion MJF at World's End to win the title, and on Dynamite, he put the entire locker room on notice about his soon-to-be dominant reign on top. The crowd was overwhelmingly behind Joe, with some even thanking him, perhaps an indication that MJF fatigue after his 400-plus day title reign was real. The bold prediction about his reign brought out Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page, who both confronted Joe and were jockeying for position as his first challenger. Strickland was the most over guy in the ring, which continues to bode well for his future, but it was rising star Hook who'd get in Joe's face after challenging the world champ last week. It was the booking of Hook that would be part of Tony Khan's recent Twitter outburst, but nevertheless, the title match has been confirmed for next week's Dynamite. The stakes couldn't be higher for Hook, who has been granted the biggest opportunity of his career, though he'll have to overcome the ever-dominant Samoa Joe to get the win and the title. Joe has made a legacy in the wrestling business, and who do you think will win? Let us know down in the comments. As we've reported, Chris Jericho is facing some serious allegations, and it wasn't too long ago that AEW were flagging accounts sharing the NDA and Kylie Rae chants heard at World's End. Now AEW has gone even further, as in a tweet promoting an upcoming title match for Jericho at Battle of the Belts, they've been hiding replies that make reference to the allegations. Tony Khan has refused to speak about the allegations against Jericho, and the AEW president and his company really don't want you to be thinking about claims against the former world champion. Now, as we previously reported, Brian Last recently said in an episode of Jim Cornette's Drive-Thru podcast that Chris Jericho was once knocked out while on his own cruise. He said, "Man, there's a story I'd love to tell, but I didn't get permission, but him getting knocked out on his own cruise ship by someone he mouthed off to. It's the most incredible f***ing story, but I can't talk about that today." Well, now, Bodyslam.net has given additional information about what transpired and have confirmed that a WWE superstar was the one to knock out the first AEW World Champion. The person in question is none other than MVP, who knocked out Jericho during the second Rockin' Rager Wrestling at Sea cruise that took place in January 2020. This wouldn't be the last time the two crossed paths, as a year or two later, there was an incident in a hotel lobby which sources at the scene described as a heated exchange. This incident ended with Jericho quickly heading to the elevator, and as the doors closed, he reportedly said, "I don't fight jobbers." Chris Jericho has been in the news a lot recently, but it seems that AEW will keep using Y2J in a prime spot on the roster, despite the allegations about Kylie Rae floating around. Now, there's another unfortunate story to Jericho's name, and now we know that it was MVP who KO'd the AEW star, and we'll have to keep our eye on this story for further updates. On Twitter this week, Tony Khan had a recent outburst when the USA Network asked for a cage match rating, and was mad as hell about Jinder Mahal getting a world title match next week. Khan's burial of Mahal has earned him backlash and mocking from many fans and some people in the industry, and now Jinder Mahal himself has weighed in on what happened. On the bump, Mahal gloated about the fact that he was trending all day on Twitter, though stopped short of giving the specific reason as to why he's trended. He said, "I'm a little bit offended. More or less I've been overlooked. I feel overlooked. I'm really frustrated at that fact. I was doing my part in helping the next generation, focusing on Indus Sher, but then I see superstars like CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes really be the highlight of Raw, and it seems to me that the people forgot about the modern-day Maharaja, the former WWE champion. I was trending all day on Twitter all day yesterday. Somehow again, the modern-day Maharaja is the talk of the town." Mahal didn't make reference to Tony Khan, but it is still notable that this situation was indirectly addressed on a WWE broadcast. Mahal also made it clear that it's time for him to become champion once again and step back into the spotlight. And what do those in AEW think of what happened? Sean Ross Sapp noted behind Fightful's paywall that Tony Khan's latest Twitter meltdown wasn't a big deal backstage, and while it may have been discussed last night, that is not the case right now. In the midst of Khan's online outburst, Mahal poked fun at the situation, asking who TF Hook is, and encouraged fans to tune into Raw, though that post was quickly taken down. It's been revealed that WWE requested Mahal take down the post about Hook, and that Bruce Pritchard and Triple H said they understand his situation and where he's coming from. A thorough explanation was also promised, and they guaranteed that if Jinder were to encounter a similar public insult from anyone in the future, appropriate legal action would be taken. Those in WWE have rallied behind Mahal, with Corey Graves tweeting simply that Jinder rules, while Rhea Ripley liked tweets that use the popular "Don't Hinder Jinder" hashtag. NXT superstar Idris Enofe also had his own message, as when responding to one of Khan's many tweets on the matter, he simply told the AEW president to STFU. Jinder has received major support from WWE and wrestling fans all around, and who do you think is in the right in this situation? Let us know in the comments down below. More from Dynamite, and in their first AEW appearance in nearly 2 months, the Young Bucks appeared on TV and took interest in facing a certain WWE Hall of Famer. The Bucks were last seen at Full Gear when they lost to the Golden Jets, thus forfeiting their shot at the AEW World Tag Team titles, and after throwing a tantrum, had not been seen until this week. Sting and Darby Allin faced Powerhouse Hobbs and Konosuke Takeshita in a tornado tag match for Dynamite's main event, with the Icon and his protege getting the win. Post-match, Tony Schiavone asks Sting the all-important question, who does he want to be his final opponent, and before he could answer, the Bucks came out and seemed to answer for him. They were sporting new looks and had new outfits on. Darby seemed to be willing to take them on, while Sting looked to be in shock, and this has yet to be confirmed as Sting's last match. On Twitter, fans were far from thrilled with the idea of Sting's final match being a tag team match with the Bucks, with many arguing that his last match should be a singles affair against Darby Allin. One said that it was of course the Bucks who wanted to leech off of Sting's moment, while another said the EVPs were again involving themselves in something they don't need to be a part of. Another fan said it would be an absolute waste of Sting's final match, while one fan had a more simple response, simply saying, meh. Ultimately, the choice of Sting's final opponent, whether it be a singles match or tag team action, will be a choice the Icon will make, and it remains to be seen who that will be. What are your thoughts on the Young Bucks being in Sting's retirement match? Do you think it's the wrong call? Let us know in the comments down below. It was on the December 9th SmackDown that Charlotte Flair suffered a knee injury due to a nasty fall in her match with Asuka, and it was later confirmed that she would require surgery. Flair has since gone under the knife and is expected to be out of action for 9 months, but the Queen is dealing with more than just a knee injury. PW Insider reports that the injury is believed to involve a strained neck, which adds more issues to the torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus she suffered last month. Flair had her surgery in Birmingham, Alabama, where several WWE superstars have gone over the years, and she is expected to leave Birmingham later this week. Barring any unforeseen complications, Charlotte Flair's return to the ring is targeted for the fall of this year, and time will tell if her husband Andrade is already in WWE by the time she returns. When Uncle Howdy emerged on WWE programming, fans quickly deduced that the bizarre character was being portrayed by Bo Dallas, the brother of Bray Wyatt. When Wyatt was taken off of TV last year due to illness, so was the Uncle Howdy character, and all of their stories, whatever genius they were building toward, was stopped suddenly. There was an expectation that the duo would return once Wyatt recovered, but sadly that never happened, as he would pass away of a heart attack in his sleep, age 36. With Wyatt sadly no longer with us, it remains to be seen what's next for Bo, but WWE hasn't parted ways with the former NXT champion. PW Insider reports that despite not being utilized right now, Dallas is still employed by the company, as he was officially rehired in 2022 after being released the previous year due to budget cuts. Bo's most recent match was back in November 2019, and we'll have to see if he is ever brought back to television, either as himself or as Uncle Howdy. Bo likely still has the Uncle Howdy gear around, so there is a chance WWE could pay homage to his brother, but for now, Bo Dallas remains to be on WWE's sidelines indefinitely. More from Dynamite, and before the show in Daily's Place, fans were treated to some pre-show action, as well as an appearance by Tony Khan. Match 1 saw Top Flight defeat the Butcher and the Blade, with Dante Martin executing a picture-perfect slam dunk frog splash to secure the win. Match 2 saw Mark Briscoe get a hard-fought win over Serpentico, as Briscoe sealed the deal with his devastating J-Driller maneuver. Tony Khan then took center stage to officially start the show and engaged with the audience in Daily's Place, which he proclaimed to be his favorite place. Tony reminisced about the challenging times when no fans were allowed and how AEW persevered, and to make the evening even more special, Khan introduced someone who could be considered the loudest fan of all. That's when the Gun Club came out, setting the stage for a memorable night of AEW Dynamite. Once Dynamite began, a rejuvenated Hangman Page defeated Claudio Castagnoli in a great match that'll surely put the former world champion in contention for another shot. The match was a great, energetic kickoff to the show, with the fans hooked, but if there was a negative, it was Castagnoli, one of wrestling's most talented stars today, eating another loss. One of the most gifted technicians on the roster, the idea that he loses as much as he does in these high-profile TV matches is somewhat astonishing, as he has the look and feel of a world champion. Much like in WWE though, Claudio is simply being defined as little more than a good wrestler, and while his time in the BCC has been fun, it's time to look at a singles run. Castagnoli needs some time for himself, rather than just being the BCC's enforcer and being the setup guy for those looking to battle Moxley or Danielson. Now, Preston Vance was handpicked by Brody Lee to join the Dark Order, and on Dynamite, Vance paid tribute to his friend and mentor by getting the win in an 8-man tag match. Despite being a heel in the La Facción Ingobernable, Vance showed great fire during a babyface comeback, and the crowd were behind him as he used Lee's discus clothesline to get the win. Vance was so popular it makes you wonder why Tony Khan insists on him being a heel, though this match saw little in the way of storyline advancement. Instead, the two teams that had little in common were there to honor the memory of Brody Lee, and this match succeeded in that. Randy Orton has had a very interesting career in life, as the third-generation superstar who spent time in the US Marines has surpassed the success of his father, uncle, and grandfather. On February 25th, WWE and A&E will present new seasons of WWE Rivals, which will be immediately followed by Biography WWE Legends, which will air at 9 p.m. Eastern. Biography WWE Legends will continue to share intimate stories of beloved WWE stars, and the season will kick off with none other than the Apex Predator himself. Other names who will be covered during the season include Diamond Dallas Page, Sergeant Slaughter, the late Scott Hall, the late British Bulldog, and the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Orton may not be a WWE legend in the traditional sense, but he's certainly had a Hall of Fame-worthy career, one that'll be covered on Biography WWE Legends next month. With talks between WWE and Mercedes Moné fizzling out not too long ago, there is a growing consensus that the ex-superstar will soon sign with AEW, with some in AEW believing so. Moné's signing will be arguably the biggest acquisition to the AEW women's roster ever, but as far as Eric Bischoff is concerned, it won't mean a thing even if she doesn't ink a contract. On his 83 Weeks podcast, Bischoff said that we've seen plenty of examples of former WWE names coming to AEW and nothing happening with them, and argued that Moné would be the same. Bischoff added that barring CM Punk, nobody who's came to AEW from WWE made an impression, and said that ticket sales show that the fans aren't overly interested in AEW's plans. Some have said that Bischoff has a point regarding the handling of ex-WWE stars, with many pointing to the booking, or lack thereof, of Keith Lee and Andrade El Idolo in their respective AEW runs. As to whether Mercedes Moné will be all elite one day, time will tell, but Eric Bischoff isn't expecting anything big, even if she does sign a deal with Tony Khan's promotion. In 2021, WWE quietly parted ways with Patrick Clark over a year after allegations of misconduct with minors were made against him, and since then, the former Velveteen Dream hasn't wrestled since. On his Hall of Fame podcast this week, Booker T revealed that Clark reached out to him, expressing a desire to return to the wrestling business, and Booker offered to help and advised Clark to call him. However, the contact eventually stopped, leaving Booker T uncertain about what happened, but he spoke highly of Clark's talent, noting that he knew him even before his time on 2015's Tough Enough. Booker recognized Clark's potential and praised the Velveteen Dream gimmick that he developed in NXT, likening it to a throwback reminiscent of wrestling legends like Macho Man Randy Savage. Booker also acknowledged the challenges ahead for Patrick Clark in attempting to return to wrestling, and drawing from his own experiences, emphasized the importance of earning trust and respect. Upon his release from prison, Booker didn't expect people to trust him right away and knew he had to prove himself, and was able to overcome his own personal difficulties. Booker T offered advice to Patrick Clark, urging him not to give up, and said that earning a spot in wrestling or any field requires dedication and effort, and that Clark will have to earn his way back. He also acknowledged that Clark has faced troubled times, making his potential comeback a remarkable achievement if he could find his way back. Booker T's perspective highlights the complex path that individuals like Patrick Clark face when seeking redemption, and it remains to be seen if we ever see him back in a wrestling ring. On the first Dynamite of 2024, Queen Aminata faced Mariah May, and despite losing to the Brit, fans will be seeing more of Aminata in the months to come. Fightful Select reports that several AEW stars have been told that Aminata has been signed after her impressive performance, and we'll have to see what the details of her new contract look like. At World's End, Adam Cole was revealed as the Devil and would officially launch the Undisputed Kingdom on the following Dynamite, and now Cole has an interesting new piece of merchandise. The design features Cole's face, with half being the devil mask, and on Twitter, an artist named Lily shared that the new design is far too similar to some artwork she had been working on. There are some differences to the images, such as AEW's shirt design using actual photos, while Lily drew her design, and the artist said that she had mixed feelings over the new shirt. Lily would ultimately get in touch with PWTs and would get a response from the company's director, who explained that they had the design in the works since Cole's reveal at World's End. Dave even shared a private team message showing the idea for Cole's shirt being discussed and said that he understands Lily being worried about being ripped off. Thankfully, this matter seems to have been resolved amicably, and hopefully, Lily will continue to produce her art without the worry of AEW stealing a design for a t-shirt. Back to Dynamite as two of AEW's best young stars faced off in a match that would have been symbolic of the greatness fans can expect in the years to come, but was instead the backdrop for a Chris Jericho save no one wanted. The Sammy Guevara vs. Ricky Starks match was fine, if not a bit subdued, though Guevara's nasty face-first bump off the ring apron as the show went to a commercial was a notable spot. The finish has left fans scratching their heads, and started with Guevara catching Starks with an inside cradle for the win, dealing the organically over Starks yet another unnecessary loss. Big Bill made the save for his tag team partner, and a beatdown of the Spanish God ensued before Jericho made the save, his theme music playing for the duration of the run-in. Having Jericho's music play throughout his run-in to help drown out the boos only makes it obvious what's going on, and the entire ordeal failed to heat up the AEW World Tag Title feud. These two teams will face at Battle of the Belts, but with Starks, a champion, now netting 2 losses, it's hard to see why folks should be interested in a match with little momentum. There was an 8-woman tag team match, and given that AEW was in Daly's place, it's fitting that 5 of the women made their AEW debuts in the very same venue. They are Chris Statlander, Thunder Rosa, Sky Blue, Julia Hart, and Anna Jay, the latter of whom dedicated the match to Brody Lee, and similarly to Preston Vance, scored the big win. This was a fun highlight reel of the various competitors who are loaded with talent, but who are often left wanting for consistency in their creative. Jay tapped Sky Blue out with the Queenslayer Sleeper, possibly setting up a TBS title match with Hart, and if so, it'll be a great showcase for 2 women who got their start in Daly's place. Adam Copeland paid a touching tribute to Brody Lee on the Homecoming Dynamite for his 8-man tag team match, which saw him team with Orange Cassidy, Dustin Rose, and Preston Vance. Copeland wore a black shirt that had the logo of Brody's beloved Toronto Maple Leafs, as well as the words John Huber Forever, which was Lee's real name. In singles action, Roderick Strong built momentum for the Undisputed Kingdom by earning a victory over a game bounty hunter Brian Keith. The match highlighted Strong, who will likely target Orange Cassidy's AEW International Championship in the coming weeks, while also ensuring fans knew that Keith is a potential breakout star. Post-match, Adam Cole cut a promo with his Undisputed Kingdom allies, which was admittedly almost exactly the same as he delivered last week. During AEW Full Gear, Will Ospreay formally inked his contract with AEW, putting to rest speculation that he'd be joining WWE, as some expected him to be the top star of the NXT Europe brand. Now Ospreay is ready to prove himself each week as an AEW star, but when speaking to Lan Pitts of GameSpot, he revealed that WWE had an offer on the table. Ultimately, Ospreay was won over by AEW because he had more trust in Tony Khan, who had always treated the British star well when they'd worked together prior to Will signing a deal. Will Ospreay has a bright future ahead of him, especially with AEW set to return to Wembley later this year, and time will tell how far the aerial assassin rises in the ranks of All Elite Wrestling. Recently, WWE changed up its commentary teams, which resulted in Michael Cole departing SmackDown, leaving Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves solely in charge of the Blue brand. While Graves is a veteran behind the announce table, Patrick is still a relative newcomer, but has now been thrust into being the lead play-by-play announcer for one of wrestling's biggest shows. PW Insider reports that individuals within WWE are closely monitoring his performance with the belief that he needs to demonstrate his abilities and make a strong impression to solidify his role. The pressure is on for Kevin Patrick to prove himself as a reliable and capable play-by-play announcer on SmackDown, and it'll be interesting to see how he fares in this pivotal role. Now, the Raw after WrestleMania is often touted as one of the most exciting and unpredictable nights of WWE programming, and this year's show will have a very different feel indeed. WrestleTix reports that in addition to the show that's 3 months away being nearly sold out, there will be a different presentation to the show, with no stage being planned for the show. Instead, it looks like WWE will opt for the unique look fans saw at Survivor Series at the Allstate Arena and other select shows in the previous year, allowing for as many fans as possible to be there. And we're ending with Reby Hardy, who fired off several posts on social media recently suggesting that Matt was not being faithful and that the AEW star had his eyes on another woman. In her latest video, Reby shared a bouquet of flowers and a message that is said to be from her husband, in which it is said he wants to spend their lives together. Now, without a signature or Matt in the video, it's impossible to truly confirm that this came from the tag team legend, but whatever's next, expect Reby Hardy to share it with her fans on TikTok.